The human who fell from the sky. The sky exploded with fire. A single human escape pod cut through the clouds of an alien planet, spinning fast, smoke trailing behind it. Inside, a young man named Jason Keller struggled to stay awake. His ship had been hit during a storm in deep space. All systems had failed. Now he was falling. Fast. Come on. Slow down, he whispered. The pod shook wildly. Lights flashed red. Then came the crash. Boom! The escape pod smashed into a thick jungle. Trees cracked and fell. The ground shook. Smoke hissed from the pod's engine. For a long time, everything was still. Jason lay inside, unconscious. Blood on his forehead. His breathing was weak, but he was alive. Hours passed. Jason opened his eyes slowly. Everything hurt. His head was spinning. The pod was crushed, useless. He tried to call for help. Nothing. His radio was broken. He stepped outside. The air was warm and thick. Strange blue plants grew everywhere. He could hear soft animal calls. In the distance. The sky above him had two suns. This planet was not Earth. He was completely alone. Jason limped away from the crash site. He had to find water, food, shelter. He didn't even know the name of this world. His suit could scan air and water, but that was all. No weapons, no map. No signal. As he walked, he felt something strange. He was being watched. The jungle grew denser. Vines hung low. Trees were tall and glowing. Jason moved slowly, keeping quiet. He saw shapes moving behind trees. Once, he thought he saw eyes, big, bright eyes, watching him from the shadows. But when he turned, there was nothing there. Then he found a small stream. Jason drank quickly. The water was cold and clean. He sat down and let his body rest. His muscles ached. His stomach growled. Suddenly, snap. He turned fast. A branch had broken behind him. Jason stood up. Who's there? No answer, just silence. Then, a flash. Dart flew through the air and hit his neck. What? Jason's vision blurred. His knees gave out. He fell to the ground, eyes closing. The last thing he saw was a tall shadow moving toward him. When Jason woke up, he was inside a large hut made of glowing wood and woven leaves. The air smelled sweet. There were soft lights floating in the corners, like tiny stars trapped in glass. He sat up and froze. He was not alone. Around him stood at least 10 tall, elegant alien women. Their skin was a soft purple or silver. Their hair flowed like silk in colors he had never seen: blue, pink, white. Their eyes were wide and glowing. Their faces were beautiful, yet unreadable. They wore long woven clothes made of plant fiber and metal threads. They spoke in low voices, their language musical and strange. One of them stepped forward. She was taller than the rest. Her eyes were sharp, her voice was calm but powerful. "You speak?" she asked in broken English. Jason blinked. Yes. I'm Jason. Where am I?" The tall woman looked at the others. Then she said, "You fell from the sky. You are male." Jason frowned. "Yes, I'm human. Please, I just need help." A whisper ran through the group. Some looked amazed. Some looked afraid. The tall woman said, "I am Sayla, leader of this village. We have not seen a man in over 100 years. Jason's eyes widened. "What?" Sayla nodded. "You are the first." The room was silent. Jason looked around, confused. "What do you mean? Where are the men?" Sayla's face grew serious. "Long ago there was a sickness. All the males of our kind had died. Only women remained. We survived. But we lost much." Jason suddenly felt like a rare animal on display. He stood up, nervous. "Listen, I'm just here by accident. I crashed. I'll fix my radio and leave as soon as I can." But Sayla stepped closer. "No one leaves this place. You were brought to us by fate. Some believe you are the one from the prophecy. Jason backed away. What prophecy? Sayla looked at him deeply. The man from the stars. He would come when our people were near the end. He would bring change, or bring destruction. Jason felt his heartbeat rise. He wasn't just lost. He had landed in the middle of something much bigger, something dangerous. And everyone was looking at him like he was not a man, but a sign. The village of secrets. Jason followed the alien women through the glowing jungle path. He had no choice. His escape pod was far behind. His body still ached from the crash. His head was filled with questions and fear. They passed strange trees with silver leaves and plants that moved as they walked by. Creatures hid in shadows, whispering sounds that made his skin crawl. But the women walked calmly like this was home. Sayla, the tall leader, walked beside him. Her eyes were sharp, watching his every move. Around them, the other women whispered in their strange language. Some looked curious. Some looked hungry. Jason whispered, "Where are you taking me?" "To our village," Sayla answered. "There, you will be safe." Jason wasn't sure what safe meant anymore. The village appeared like magic. Hidden deep in the jungle, it was made of tall towers shaped from glowing trees. Vines climbed the walls. Floating lights danced in the air. Alien children ran between huts. Older women watched from balconies. As Jason entered, everyone stopped. Dozens of alien eyes stared at him. Mothers pulled children closer. Guards tightened their grips on long staffs made of crystal and wood. Whispers filled the air. A male. From the sky. Is it true? Jason's steps slowed. He felt like a creature in a zoo. Sayla raised her hand. "He is under my protection. Do not fear." They reached the center of the village, an open space with a giant stone statue. The statue showed a man standing tall, holding hands with alien women. Jason stared at it. "What is that?" Sayla replied, "It is the Starfather, the last male, who lived with us. Long ago. He came from the sky just like you." Jason's blood ran cold. "What happened to him?" he asked. Sayla's face darkened. "He vanished, and after him, all our males died. Later, they gave Jason food. Sweet, purple fruit and soft bread like rolls. He ate carefully while sitting on cushions in a circular hut. Sayla sat nearby. "You have questions?" Jason nodded. "A lot. Why me? Why am I the first male in 100 years? And why are people afraid of me?" Sayla looked into the firelight. "When our men died, our people broke. Some tried to make peace with other tribes, some went to war. Others believed the males were cursed and must never return. We survived, but not without pain." Jason leaned forward. "Then I show up, and it brings back those fears." Sayla nodded. "Some think you are the answer. Others think you are a threat." Jason's voice dropped. "And what do you think?" Sayla didn't answer right away. "I think you are dangerous because you carry choice, and we have lived without choice for too long." That night, Jason was given his own hut to sleep in. It was beautiful. Walls made of glowing crystal wood, a soft bed of moss and fur, a window showing the stars. But he didn't sleep. He stared at the stars, thinking, what was this place? Why, did they treat him like a god? Or a curse? Suddenly, he heard a noise outside. Rustle, whisper, tap. Jason moved quietly to the door and opened it a crack. A young alien woman stood there, wearing a cloak and holding a small torch. She looked around, nervously, then whispered, "Jason." He blinked. "You know my name?" "I listened during the council," she said. "My name is Lyra. Please come with me, quickly." Jason hesitated. "Why?" She looked over her shoulder. "Because not everyone wants you to stay alive." Jason followed her through a secret path under the village beneath roots and stones. It was dark, quiet. The air was cold. "Where are we going?" he asked. "To the truth," Lyra said. After walking a long tunnel, they reached a hidden chamber. Inside was a small room filled with glowing books, crystals, and carvings on the wall. Lyra pointed to one, an old painting showing humans and aliens standing together. This was before the sickness, she said. Your kind lived among us once, but something went wrong. Our leaders erased the records. Jason's eyes widened. You're saying humans were here before? Lyra nodded. Yes. And I believe you were meant to return. Jason stared at the symbols. Some looked like Earth writing, old, faded. A word caught his eye. Project Union. What is Project Union? He asked. Lyra whispered. I don't know. But Sayla does, and she won't tell you. Suddenly, boom! The door above them slammed open. Voices shouted. They're here! Lyra gasped. Jason grabbed her hand. Run! They escaped into the jungle again, hearts pounding. Jason had no weapon, no plan. But now, he knew one thing, for sure. He was not just a visitor on this planet, he was part of something forgotten, something buried. And someone in the village would rather see him dead than let him remember. The chosen one, Jason and Lyra, ran through the dark jungle, their breath fast and heavy. The glowing plants lit the path just enough to see. Behind them, angry voices echoed, guards shouting in the alien language, getting closer. Lyra pulled Jason toward a hidden cave behind a thick curtain of vines. In here, she whispered. They dove inside. It was quiet, cold. Jason leaned against the wall, trying to breathe. Lyra stood still, listening. After a moment, the voices passed. Silence returned. Jason looked at her. Why are they chasing us? Because you saw the truth, Lyra said. And truth is dangerous here. Jason shook his head. This is insane. I didn't ask for any of this. I just want to fix my pod and leave. Lyra turned to him, her eyes glowing softly in the dark. It's too late now. You were seen. You touched the prophecy. Whether you want it or not, they believe you are the chosen one. The next morning, Jason and Lyra returned to the village, quietly. They had to. The jungle was full of wild creatures and they had no food or weapons. To survive, they had to play along. Sayla was waiting for them in the center of the village. To Jason's surprise, she did not punish them. Instead, she smiled. You found the old chamber, she said calmly. Now you understand your place. Jason stayed silent. Sayla raised her hand and called the tribe together. Women gathered in a wide circle. Some sat. Some watched from rooftops. Even the children came. Sayla stood tall. Sisters, the prophecy has been fulfilled. A man from the stars has returned. The chosen one is here. Jason's heart pounded. No, don't do this. Lyra stepped forward. Sayla, this is wrong. He didn't choose this. He's just a man. But Sayla ignored her. She placed her hand on Jason's shoulder. He will take part in the ancient trial. If he passes, he becomes our hope. Jason stepped back. What trial? Sayla's smile faded. You must prove you are worthy of us. The old way. The path of stars. Later that day, Jason was taken to the top of a high cliff. Below, a glowing river ran between sharp rocks and massive trees. Sayla handed him a wooden staff carved with symbols. 3 tests, she said. Courage, spirit, truth. Jason looked around. And if I fail? You will not return, she said. The tribe watched from above. Lyra tried to speak, but 2 guards held her back. Jason swallowed hard. I didn't ask for this, but maybe this is the only way to survive. The first test, courage. Jason climbed down into the canyon. The wind howled. Strange bird-like beasts circled above. One swooped at him, screeching. He held the staff tightly, waved it, shouted. The beast backed off, but left a deep cut on Jason's arm. He didn't give up. He pushed forward, through cold water across jagged rocks. Hours passed. When he reached the other side, the tribe cheered. Sayla nodded. Courage. Proven. The second test. Spirit Jason was led to a sacred pool that glowed under moonlight. He was told to sit still, alone, and face his own fears. The water reflected memories. His crash, the darkness, his lost home. Then he saw Earth, his mother's face, his friends. Tears ran down his cheeks. He missed everything. But he stayed. He didn't run. When the sun rose, Sayla came. You stayed. You faced your pain, spirit, proven. The third test, truth. Sayla took him to the Temple of Voice. There, he stood before a glowing orb, pulsing with light. She asked one question. Would you use our people to save yourself? Jason stared at the orb. It glowed brighter. He closed his eyes. No. I just wanted to go home. But now, I want to help. If I can. If you'll let me. The orb turned golden. Sayla whispered, truth, proven. That night the tribe celebrated. Lights floated in the air. Music played. Alien children danced. Jason sat by the fire, exhausted. He had passed the trial. But he didn't feel like a hero. He felt lost. Lyra sat beside him. They believe in you now. Jason looked at her. But I don't know what to do. She smiled gently. Then start with listening. That's more than the last chosen one ever did. Jason looked at the stars above. He didn't ask for this journey. But maybe he was here for a reason after all. The forbidden ruins. The jungle air was cold that morning. Mist covered the trees like a blanket. Jason stood near the edge of the village, his hand resting on the wooden gate. He wasn't supposed to be there. Behind him, Lyra whispered urgently, we shouldn't go. The forbidden ruins are cursed. That's what they say. Jason looked at her. They also said I was the chosen one, and that turned out to be true, right? Lyra hesitated, then nodded slowly. Together, they slipped past the gate and vanished into the trees. They traveled deep into the jungle where even the glowing plants stopped shining. The air felt heavy. The path was dark, untouched. It was quiet. Too quiet. Jason walked carefully, pushing aside vines, watching every step. What exactly is this place? Lyra kept close. Before the sickness came, this was the center of knowledge. The ancients stored everything here, about the stars, about your kind, even about the day the sky first opened. Jason stopped. The day humans first arrived? Lyra nodded. Yes. My grandmother said this place holds truths that could change everything. That's why Sayla sealed it off. Jason's heart beat faster. The truth had been hidden, and they were walking right into it. Finally, the trees opened into a wide stone courtyard. Massive pillars stood tall, half broken. Vines covered old carvings. A large door stood in the center, covered in symbols. Human and alien together. Jason stepped closer. This is real. It's ancient. He touched the door. The symbols lit up under his fingers. A low hum filled the air. Lyra gasped. You're activating it. The door slid open. Inside was a chamber with walls of glass and metal. Dust floated in the air. Machines blinked faintly. A huge round table stood in the middle, and on it, an object Jason recognized. A human space beacon. Jason rushed over. This is Earth tech, military grade, from over a century ago. He brushed off the dust and found a nameplate. Project Union. Phase 1. Lyra looked confused. What is it? Jason turned the beacon on. A light flickered, and a small hologram appeared. A human voice crackled to life. This is Commander Isaac Grant speaking on behalf of Project Union. Earth and our alien allies have joined forces to build a new future on this planet. This world will become a shared colony, equal, united. Jason stared, stunned. The voice continued, but not all agreed. Some feared the mixing of bloodlines. The Union was sabotaged. We've lost contact with Earth. We may be stranded, but we will not give up hope. Then the recording cut off. Jason sat down, silent. Lyra whispered, "Your people were here. You didn't just fall from the sky, you came back." Suddenly a noise echoed outside. Voices, footsteps. Lyra ran to the door and peeked out. Sayla's guards, they followed us. Jason grabbed the beacon. "We can't let them destroy this." They ran through a back tunnel hidden behind a crumbling wall. The stone path led upward into a hollow tree that opened far from the ruins. Behind them, they heard the guards entering the chamber. Jason turned to Lyra. "They'll find the beacon. We need to show the village before Sayla hides it again." Lyra shook her head. "They won't believe us." Jason looked at the beacon. "Then we make them believe." That night, Jason returned to the center of the village. The beacon glowed in his hands. The villagers gathered again, whispering, curious. Sayla appeared, her eyes cold. "You went where you were forbidden," she said. Jason didn't back down, "because you kept the truth hidden." He placed the beacon on the stone platform. "Your people weren't cursed. Our people once lived together. Project Union was the truth. This beacon proves it." Sayla stepped forward, her voice firm. "That history was buried for a reason. It brought war, pain, death." Jason raised his voice. "It also brought hope. And maybe it still can." The villagers murmured. Many had never heard the name Project Union. Others looked at Sayla with doubt in their eyes. Lyra stepped beside Jason. "He's not a curse. He's a second chance." Sayla stared at Jason for a long time. Then she turned away. "The past is dangerous. The future is unknown," she said softly. "If you follow this path, there is no return." Jason looked at the crowd. "Then let me go first. Let me prove we can build something better." And for the first time, no one stopped him. The storm of betrayal. The sky had turned dark, heavy with storm clouds. Rain poured down on the alien village, soaking the glowing wood towers and muddy pathways. Thunder cracked like a warning from the heavens. Jason stood alone in the village, square. In his hands he held the beacon, the last voice of Earth from 100 years ago. He had shown it to the people. Some had cheered, some had wept, but not everyone had believed, especially not Sayla. She had left without a word. Now, the storm had come, and with it, something else was brewing. Inside the council hall, voices shouted, "The human is lying! He brings danger! No, he brings answers!" Jason sat on the edge of the chamber, watching the tribe's leaders argue. Lyra stood. Beside him, her hands clenched. One elder with gray markings across her forehead stood. "He broke our oldest law by entering the forbidden ruins. That is death." Lyra stepped forward. "He brought back truth. That should not be punished." Sayla finally rose from her seat, her face calm, but her voice sharp. "The truth can be poison when it comes too late. The past cannot feed our people. It cannot protect our children." Jason stood slowly. "But the past can teach us that we were never alone, that we once stood together. You fear change, Sayla, but change is already here." Sayla's eyes locked on his, and then she said, "Let the people decide." That night, under the pouring rain, the village held a gathering. Each family came. Fires burned under shelters. Food was shared. Music played, but it sounded nervous, unsure. Then Sayla stepped forward with her guards. "I offer the tribe a choice," she declared. "Follow this man into a forgotten future, or stay with the way that kept us alive." Jason stepped up beside her. "I can't promise peace, but I can promise honesty. I'll share all I know. I'll help build something better with you." The village grew quiet. Then, slowly, one woman stepped forward, then another. And another. Most stood behind Jason, but a small group stayed behind Sayla. The tribe had spoken. The next morning, Jason was named Seeker of Union. It was only a title, no crown, no throne, but it meant trust. He would help build a small beacon, tower on the cliffs, one strong enough to send a signal into space. If Earth was still out there, They would hear. But as the tower rose day by day, whispers returned. Sayla had vanished. Some said she had left the village. Others weren't so sure. Then came the fire. One night, while Jason and Lyra worked inside the new tower, flames erupted in the village behind them. Screams followed. Jason ran down the cliff path. Dozens of huts were burning. The food store was in ashes. A dark figure fled into the jungle, but no one saw their face. It was her, Lyra whispered. Sayla did this. Jason looked around. Children crying, families afraid, trust shaking. He realized something horrible. He hadn't united the tribe. He had split it in two. The council met again in secret. Jason stood before them, his clothes still smelling of smoke. "We can't go back," he said. "But we can't stay blind either. There's something out there. Sayla may not be finished." One elder said, "If she's gathering others, what will you do?" Jason looked at Lyra. Then he said, "I'll go after her." Lyra gasped. "Alone?" Jason nodded. "This started because I fell from the sky. If anyone has to face her, it's me." Before he left, Lyra gave him a crystal dagger, once her mother's. She tied it to his belt. "You won't be alone," she said softly. "Not truly." Jason smiled. "Then I'll come back. With answers, or not at all." As the first light of morning touched the trees, Jason walked into the jungle. Behind him, the village watched in silence. Ahead of him was betrayal and the truth behind Sayla's fall. The rebellion begins. The jungle was quiet, but not in a peaceful way. It was the kind of quiet that warned of danger, the kind that made animals hide. Jason moved slowly through thick vines and mossy ground, eyes sharp, ears alert. He had left the village before sunrise. His goal: find Sayla, stop her from tearing the tribe apart, and end whatever rebellion she was planning. He didn't know if she would listen, but he had to try. A war was coming, and only one voice might stop it. Hours passed. Jason found strange signs in the jungle, symbols carved into trees, old flags hanging from branches, footsteps in the dirt. Then, a whisper. A shape moved behind him. He spun fast. Too late. A net flew through the air and wrapped around him. He hit the ground hard. 3 tall alien women stepped out of the trees. Their eyes were hard, faces painted with old war colors. One of them spoke. "You're the human." Jason groaned. "Yeah, and I was hoping you'd be friendlier." They dragged him through the jungle to a hidden camp built between stone ruins. Tents made of dark leaves. Guards with sharp crystal spears. Fires burning, under blackened pots, and standing in the center, Sayla. She still looked regal, strong, but her eyes were different now, colder, sharper, the look of someone who had chosen war. "Let him go," Sayla ordered. The warrior stepped back and Jason stood up. Sayla crossed her arms. "You came alone, brave, or foolish," Jason replied. "I came to stop this before someone dies." Sayla raised an eyebrow. "Too late. The old world is already bleeding." They sat inside her command tent. Jason looked around. Maps of the jungle, notes, a list of names. Sayla poured 2 cups of glowing drink. "This was meant to be peace, Jason. But peace built on weakness never lasts. You split the tribe." Jason leaned forward. "No. I gave them truth. You started the fire." Sayla didn't deny it. "I burned the storehouse to wake them up, to remind them what's at stake." Jason stared at her. "You're building an army." Sayla looked directly at him. "Yes, because if your people return, they will try to take this world again. I'd rather die fighting than bow again." Jason's voice lowered. "We can prepare together. We don't have to fight each other." Sayla's voice was cold. "The tribe will follow only one path, and if it's not mine, it will burn." That night, Jason was kept in a tent guarded. He didn't sleep. He listened. He heard whispers. Not everyone in Sayla's camp believed in her war. Some were afraid. Some only followed out of loyalty. Jason knew what he had to do. He had to talk to them, show them another way. So when the guard dozed off, Jason made his move. He slipped past the tent quietly and moved from fire to fire, speaking in hushed tones. "I'm not your enemy," he told one. "We don't have to lose everything again," he told another. "You have children. Do you want them to grow up in fear?" One by one, their eyes changed. Some nodded. Some wept. Jason saw the cracks forming, but then a horn sounded. Jason was caught and dragged before Sayla again. This time her face was filled with rage. "You came here to poison them," she hissed. "I came here to save them," Jason replied. Sayla raised her hand to strike him, but another voice stopped her. It was an older warrior, gray hair, proud eyes. "He's right, Sayla. We followed you because we were lost, but this path leads only to death." Another voice joined. Then another. Half the camp stood still, waiting. Sayla's hand lowered slowly. For the first time, doubt appeared in her eyes. Jason spoke loud and clear. "We don't have to be enemies, not anymore. Let me take the ones who wish to leave. No one else needs to get hurt." Sayla looked away, her face unreadable. Then with a long breath she said, "Go, but this isn't the end." Jason didn't argue. He led the group, over a dozen women, out of the jungle by torchlight. They were tired, scared, but free. And behind them, the storm of rebellion began to break. By the time they reached the village, the tower was shining. Lyra ran out to greet him, her eyes filled with tears. "You came back," she whispered. Jason nodded. "And I didn't come alone." The crowd cheered as the returners joined their families, but Jason looked toward the jungle where Sayla still stood, alone, angry, and dangerous. He knew this wasn't over, but he had won this battle, and now he had hope. A new beginning or the end? The new tower stood tall on the cliffs, reaching into the skies like a hand calling for help. It glowed softly, alive with power. Inside it, Earth's lost beacon hummed again, ready to send its message through the stars. Jason stood before it, his hand hovering over the final button. The signal was ready, but his heart was not. Lyra stepped beside him, her voice gentle. "This message will bring them here. Are you sure they'll come as friends?" Jason's eyes stayed on the stars. "I'm not sure of anything anymore." Below the tower, the village was rebuilding. Fires had been put out. Families were together again. New huts were being raised. The returners from Sayla's camp were helping quietly, with lowered heads. Some still looked over their shoulders, afraid Sayla might come back with a new army. Jason knew that fear wouldn't go away quickly. Trust was slow. Wounds were deep. But something had changed. For the first time in 100 years, the tribe had chosen hope over hate. That night, under the twin moons, the tribe gathered one last time in the stone square. Jason stood in the center. Lyra held his hand. The council, the children, even the elders watched him. He looked at them all. "I didn't fall from the sky to become your leader," he said. "I crashed. I was lost. But you gave me shelter. You gave me food. You gave me your stories." He paused. "You don't need a savior. You need a choice, a voice. And now, you have both." He turned to the beacon. His hand pressed the button. A golden light shot into the sky, fast, silent, beautiful. The message had been sent to Earth, to the stars, to whoever was still listening. Days passed. The sky stayed quiet. No reply came, but the people kept working. Gardens grew again, music returned, laughs echoed, and slowly, life began to feel like something worth living again. Jason taught the children about Earth. Lyra helped rebuild the ancient ruins into a school. Together, they shaped something new. Not Earth, not the old alien tribe, but something in between, something better. Then one morning the wind shifted. A sound, soft but clear, filled the tower. A blinking red light. A new message. Jason rushed to the top. The beacon crackled. A human voice came through, old but clear. "This is Commander Darius Holt of the Union Explorer Arc 9. We received your signal. We are coming." Jason's knees buckled. They had heard Earth was still out there, and they were on their way. But the joy didn't last long. That same evening, a scout arrived from the jungle. She was pale, breathless. "Sayla, she's coming." Jason stood still. "How many?" "Too many." Sayla had rebuilt her forces. She knew the signal had gone through. She was coming to stop it. Once, and for all. Jason looked at Lyra. "We can't fight her. Not like this." Lyra took his hand. "Then let's not fight." Jason turned to the villagers. "We stand, we don't run, and we don't lift weapons. Let her see that we've already won, without war." At dawn, Sayla arrived. Her warriors surrounded the village, silent and tense. Sayla stepped forward, dressed in black, eyes sharp. Jason stood in the center of the square, alone. "You defied me," she said. Jason didn't answer with anger. "I invited you." Sayla looked around. She saw the families, the children, the calm. No fear, no resistance. And then she saw something she didn't expect. Some of her old warriors walked past her and stood beside Jason. One by one. She clenched. Her jaw. "You think this is peace?" "It's weakness." Jason shook his head. "No, it's strength. You've lost, Sayla. Not because we fought, but because we stopped needing to." Sayla's eyes narrowed. And then she turned away. Without a word, she vanished into the jungle. And this time, she didn't look back. 2 weeks later, the Earth ship arrived. Sleek, massive. Glowing with technology the village had only seen in stories. Humans stepped out, wearing suits and wide eyes. Jason walked forward to meet them, not as a soldier, not as a visitor, but as a bridge. Epilogue. The way tribe would never be the same. Neither would Jason. The message from the stars had become more than a call for help. It had become a promise that even across galaxies, humans and aliens could meet as strangers, become friends, and build a new beginning. Together. The end.